change stuff just to see if they can like test our agility to adapt to new technology. But we do stuff on Instagram sometimes, and I don't understand Instagram at all. So I get on there and I have to ask my kids, now what do I do here? Oh, I don't know what, somebody just got knocked out. I don't know why, but. So welcome tonight to tonight's Learning Lab call. We don't have a speaker tonight. We do have coming up in the book club in March. We're actually covering Dr. William Davis's book, Superbody. We had him in January speak to us about endotoxins, and that video is available if you weren't able to participate with us. It's on the YouTube channel. But I'm also talking to Dr. Haraldo Maggarinos and my former chief scientific officer, Dr. Kano, who is working on the ag side of things now with his ancient organics. And I think Raul will be joining us in March and Haraldo in April. But one of the things I wanted to talk about or discuss, see what other people's thoughts are, but most people know I've been talking about glyphosate for 20 years, but even more so on here in the last several years. And last week there was an executive order that basically saying that glyphosate is part of the national security infrastructure for the food supply. So putting in place protections for well, it's Bayer now, but what was Monsanto, which was pretty disheartening for me, given how much I've gone into understanding how it works, understanding what it's doing to our system, and it's everywhere. It's even in the rain. So you can't get away from it. Even if you're growing food in your own backyard, it's coming down in the rain. So I'm not sure what to do about it. I do know, I don't know who your congressperson in Kentucky is, but Thomas Massie from Kentucky has actually proposed a bill that would basically overturn the executive order and take away the immunity that the executive order put in place. So I don't know if anybody has a thought on that, or if not, if anybody's got questions, I'm here to answer questions tonight. And, it may be a short call if nobody has questions, but usually if I don't have a speaker, I'll just, answer any questions that people have and cover sort of current topics. So if you want to ask a question, there's a little hand at the bottom. You can click on that and it'll put you in the queue, or you can just raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Nacky, not Nancy. Now you have to unmute yourself. I think it's a little button on the bottom. No, you were unmuted before. I don't know how you got muted. There's a little microphone across the bottom. So if you can see the red button for hanging up.
I found it. I'm sorry. Yeah, it took me a minute. I'll get used to it. Okay, yeah. So I have a question. It's not really about glyphosate, although I'm aware of the whole glyphosate mess, and I did have organic certification for 5 years growing, produce on my farm. But so I'm familiar with the whole battle of trying to keep the neighbors are across the road, spraying their glyphosate on their wheat so that it'll dry out so they can harvest it. And it's just too, it's like it's boxing you in or something. But anyway, so I'm with you on that. And I hope that, we can get some progress on not having it be so much more coming all the time like that, I don't know, but okay. My question is totally different, which is, are you familiar at all with alpha-gal syndrome?
I am actually. Yes.
Because I asked Dr. Davis and he never heard of it. And I was like, oh gosh, I hope Martha's heard of it. And
and you know what's interesting? I met an acupuncturist at the Weston Price conference who they do some sort of acupuncture in the ears.
Yes, I've had that a couple times. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. It's called capital letters SAAT. That's the kind of acupuncture it has to be. It's totally different than just regular acupuncture. It's a certain protocol they go to school for. I think the school is in Baltimore. And I've been to 2 different practitioners. One of them was kind of far away and I was tickled to find one closer. So that's the only reason I switched. It wasn't that the other wasn't any good. But my problem is I wanted to ask you about, I have just ordered the Sugar Shift and I'm really excited to be able to use it. But I had a problem and it was sort of to do with the alpha-gal. After my first treatment, which is a 3-week thing, that you have the needles in your ear and they're very tiny, they're unobtrusive, but you do have to keep it dry. And after that, you can slowly, like 1 bite one day, 2 bites the next day. You have to slowly, or 4 days and then 2 bites, slowly reintroduce a mammal meat, which is the alpha-gal is a tick-borne thing and it makes you allergic to mammal meat. So that was a shock to me because I was a carnivore and I was eating a lot of ruminants and stuff, and so all of a sudden here I am on chicken, turkey, and fish, which works, but it's not the same. But anyway, so I originally got the alpha-gal last March and I didn't get diagnosed. I didn't know what was wrong with me until June. And by that time I had a raging rash that was just spreading all the time. You never saw a rash that bad, And then as soon as I stopped the mammal meats, well, it all cleared up and I didn't have the rash anymore. And then in August, I got my SAT treatment in the needles in the ear for alpha-gal. And then when I got them out in September, I reintroduced beef and I seemed to have done all right with it. And then I did rabbit and I did all right with that. And then I goofed up because I went to the store and there was ground lamb and I thought, well, lamb, that's another ruminant. It's just like beef. And I went and ate a half a pound of it and phew, everything went wild. I didn't even think about it. You got to slowly introduce this. It's not beef. It's different. So what happened was it gave me hives. And ever since then, I've been dealing with hives. And I finally figured out with the help of ChatGPT, believe it or not, that the ferments were what was triggering my hives. And if I would quit the ferments, they would settle down. So my question finally I'm getting to is, do you think that I'll be in trouble? I've understood some people to say that there's more kind of histamine triggers with L. reuteri than some of the other microbes. And I just wondered if you think I'll do fine with the Sugar Shift, which I really want you to say yes. But I'm not. I just wanted to have a little reassurance that I'm not getting into some kind of ferments or known histamine triggering microbes.
So we have looked at like histamine with our formula, and we don't have any strains that should be high histamine producing. It does have reuteri in it, but we've also not had reports that I recall of anybody with histamine.
Oh, good.
You know, what I would do is I would start slow. So
I'm not planning to ferment it. I'm just planning to take the pills because I'm going to stay away from fermented stuff for a while longer till I feel like I'm just not getting hives at all anymore, you know.
So I would take, it's, you know, on the bottle it says take it twice a day. I would start out with just once a day.
Okay.
And see how you do. And then, so I'm just trying to think. So alpha gal is also connected to a sugar called galactose.
Right.
Has some interesting so I was trying to see if one of our strains metabolizes galactose. So it says regular galactose does not contribute to alpha gal, but let's see. Well, I was going to try to see if maybe it would eat up. Like sometimes you can get a strain of bacteria that will break down whatever the problem is.
That would be nice.
And I don't know if that would be the case, but I'm wondering if, so that has a pediococcus, and that pediococcus is a strain that, hang on, I'm just typing a note in here. Pediococcus is often used in fermented meats, or that's where it's found, and it can break down, it can digest protein. So I was wondering if maybe it would help with that, but I'm not seeing anything that says that it would. So, but it might. I mean, I still think it might. Like if you're altering the sugar metabolism, it might help with that. But I would just start with one.
Okay.
And see how it goes. But you think that that acupuncture, the SAAT, is working?
I don't really know. I felt like it did, and then I felt like I messed it up by jumping into that lamb by mistake, and then I got this terrible reaction. And I've never had hives in my life, and now all of a sudden I have them like every day. They're like around my waist, usually, where my belt is and stuff, or my top of my breeches, and so they get. If I when I was doing more ferments, because I had no idea before I finally got some of Dr. Davis's stuff, and actually was making yogurt and was making kefir. Before I got to that point, I was eating like a coconut based yogurt that I found at Kroger's, so I was doing these ferments, and it seems to be the ferment thing that is one of the worst triggers. What other ones there are, I don't really know. But as far as the hives go, but I mean, I've been eating completely not anything that would be a mammal product,
Yeah.
So
it's tough if you were more of a carnivore for a while.
I am. I was carnivore for a couple of years already.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. Well, my neighbor actually got alpha gal. He got diagnosed with it 2 years ago, and had no idea, and ate a hamburger one day and ended up in anaphylactic shock at the hospital. And
it's a wonder I didn't.
So and I know there's lots of ticks around here, so yeah, it's.
Well, I mean, it would be bad if I get bitten again, but I kind of think, I was vegan for a long time before I was carnivore, and I probably got bitten quite a few times and never ate anything that made a difference. But they say that if you get bitten, your previous tick bite history can influence what's going on. So, but I mean, I think that I was feeling really good on the carnivore. If I hadn't have been doing that, I mean, there's people all around here with it, and some of them do have to carry an EpiPen, and they can get in serious trouble. So I've just had hives, and I'm thankful that's all.
I have a book somewhere. I don't know if I think it's called Sleeper Agent, and it's a fellow who's done a lot of research on the tick-borne illnesses.
Oh.
And it's actually kind of a gruesome history of there's probably people waiting to get in. Hang on. My person who lets people in. Oop. Sorry, folks. I think I let people in now. Did I let them in?
Yeah, and Martha, I just wanted to say I and a bunch of other people were on the other link. There were 2 email links sent out today. And there were like 10 people on the other link. So I'm hoping they've migrated over.
Okay, let me tell Bridget she sent out the wrong link. Okay. I wondered about that. Okay, and then I just had 3 people who were trying to get in, and I thought I let them in, but they're not here now, so. I don't think they're here. Nope. Hang on, my right-hand person is down in Mexico, which is really not a great place to be right now. He's in Puerto Vallarta. So let me see. Was Chris over on the other one? Do you know? Jen?
No, I didn't see her name. I can log out and go log in over there if you want.
Well, if you want to go over there and see did you tell everybody that it was on another? Yeah, I don't know.
No, because they weren't let in. It just showed me a waiting list. So I don't know if that meant I could let them in, but I'm going to log out and log back in. Okay.
So let me see if I can find that book for you, Nacky.
Thank you.
Let's see. This is the book. Let's see. Share my screen. Nope.
I'm just on an iPhone, so everything looks tiny.
Well, I can't find where I put it now. Hang on.
That's okay. That's okay.
I have too many things open. Here it is. There we go.
The Sleeper Agent. Can you tell me who the author is? I can't quite see.
His name is
Finnegan. A.W.
Finnegan.
Okay, I see it.
I actually saw a presentation he did. There's a group called APAK EDU, APAK EDU. You can find them on Substack. They host an educational series on Monday nights, and they had him on as a speaker. And I think you can access their videos on Vimeo, if you know what the Vimeo platform.
Yeah, I listened to a sheep herder on that.
Well, if you can search that fellow's name and ipak.edu, they they had a really interesting discussion with him, and he was just fascinating because he got Lyme disease and has just been deep into the research and really went all the way back to World War I and biological warfare research that was being done in the United States, and then how this one researcher had moved from the United States and gone back to Germany, and then he was in Germany during World War II, and then the Russians captured him and he worked for them for a while, and then the CIA and the British MI6 got him back, and he worked in the United States in biological warfare for, I guess the rest of his life. But he had developed a lot of these tick-borne illnesses. So it's kind of an interesting, if you're into looking at the history, some of the crazy things we've done in the name of, quote, protecting our people, that hasn't really protected our people, but has put us in much graver danger. Which,
the people around here, there's quite a few of them that say, now what got this started?
Yeah,
they're suspicious, but we don't know.
Well, that book will give you a very well documented history.
Thank you.
So,
Well, that'll be good, and then I'll take one sugar shift a day when they come and see if I can tolerate them well without getting worse hives. That's what happens if I do something I shouldn't. I'll get worse hives, I
have very seldom gotten hives, but this was probably 3 years ago, maybe. I'm trained in this root cause protocol, and one from the root cause protocol had, we've got more people coming in. Let me see if I can let them in. Says, here we go. Admit. There we go. I'm multitasking. I'm not so good at multitasking.
That's okay. You're doing great.
I'm trying. Now I forgot what I was saying.
You're saying, what were you saying?
I can't rewind it.
Your hives.
The hive. So I was in my root cause protocol group, and one of the people had been to some conference, and there's a kind of a famous guy who's an herbalist. I can't remember what his name is, but he's got all these herbal remedies, and so she was talking about, I think it was an herbal lymph detox. And so I ordered this lymph detox, and it was a mixture of multiple herbs, and I took it, and I had hives I've only had hives like that one other time in my life, and I think I was in my 20s. And I mean, they were from the middle of my thighs all the way up to my neck. It was just crazy. And it was probably at least a week before they went away completely. I mean, it was just, so I don't know what was in there, or what was in my lymph that was trying to let something out, but whatever it was, I decided that probably wasn't the solution for me.
No, I guess not. Well, I was told by 2 or 3 people that stinging nettle would help get rid of alpha-gal. And so I drank a bunch of stinging nettle tea for a while, and I thought it did help my hives to subside some, but I don't even think, the hives might be like, my system is just triggered now. It's not even from the alpha-gal anymore, although that was the original thing that happened, So, but stinging nettles have helped some. I've been happy with getting some, get them to subside. They weren't as big, they weren't as long enduring, so, but I'm scared to just do some big old, like you said, herbal detox. I'm scared of that. I'm not even going to try.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was, but I undertook from that point doing a lot more gentle lymph related work, just kind of starting with my own, getting lymph moving, making sure I'm
Yes.
walking every day. I have one of those little vibration plates that I stand on, especially if I have a day where I'm not going to be able to walk a lot. And I have somebody in Lexington who does lymphatic drainage massage. And
ooh, that must be nice.
I used to get more intense muscle work, and I've actually found that I like the lymphatic drainage work better. It's very gentle, and it's just, moving the fluid. You have to move that fluid out, which is, so this was actually something else I learned that I didn't know last week, 2 weeks ago, maybe. Vitamin D is not delivered through the blood initially. It's delivered through the lymph.
Wow.
And I thought that was kind of interesting.
It is.
Look, yeah. Gail, you got your hand up and I saw you nodding. You might have to unmute. You have to unmute.
It's the pink button.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I had such trouble getting on. I thought, oh no, I'm going to miss another meeting. This is what happened to me last time. So, a couple of things. So, Nacky, did you say you have alpha-gal?
Yes.
My husband has had alpha-gal for probably 20 years, and we have healed him of it.
Oh, good.
Are you aware of the acupuncture technique to help take care of that?
Yeah, I've had that a couple times already. And I don't know if I even would say my hives are from the alpha-gal, but they were triggered by my eating a bunch of lamb without carefully reintroducing it. And then ever since then, I've had hives, but I don't know if that's actually an alpha-gal
Reaction
symptom or if it's just that my system got screwed up and now it wants to think that everything I eat is, something they have to make hives over,
Well, there are a lot. Alpha-gal is very, very much on the rise. I guess everything's on the rise, but the therapist that I'm familiar with is here in Oklahoma, and she trained with the main guy out in New Jersey. She's a nurse, and she's been very successful with treating alpha-gal, even to the point that she has patients who were anaphylactic when they had, any meat.
triggers. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a neighbor who there's an outbreak kind of in my neighborhood, evidently.
Me too.
Yeah, that's and that it can be transmitted not just with ticks, but with chiggers as well.
I've heard
So,
that, but I didn't know if it was for sure.
I'm pretty sure we've been following this for a long time. And I think my husband is still getting sugar bitten, but we've healed his gut. He did not have the treatment from my friend. I tried to get him to go. Anyways, it's a long story, but he hadn't had a reaction. He has the full out reaction, like where with the stomach GI distress and then the hives up his hands all the way up to his neck and then anaphylactic reaction. His throat closes down. We never got to full anaphylaxis, but anyways, so there's all these variations of that, but I would keep working on your gut healing because we never had any formal. I think that treatment is effective. And my neighbor who had that, who gets the hives, just had that, and he also went and had all the testing at the allergist, and his numbers have come way, way, way down. Of course, they're going to give him like a whole hamburger. I think it's tomorrow, and sit there with an EpiPen. I guess I don't know. I think it's real stupid because my understanding is you introduce everything really slowly back in.
Yep.
Anyways, I just just take heart and keep working on your gut, because and you may be able to kind of keep reintroducing things. I think the hives sometimes are, all of us have lots and lots of extra histamine these days. And this is one thing that my friend Beth, who treats alpha-gal, talks about. And part of it, sadly, part of it is just the spike protein everywhere. From what she says, she studied this pretty in depth. So keep doing different protocols. I've been doing like eating a lot of ginger. That's really been helping I have overreactive histamines from the spike protein for sure. I've been tested through her. She can test all kinds of things. But I've really helped myself with ginger. I started making ginger candy, which is crazy. It doesn't have any sugar in it. I use like allulose, but I eat ginger like a fiend. And it has helped my allergies. It has helped my blood sugar. It's helped a whole lot of things. So just keep trying different things that you think your body might respond to, because this alpha-gal is very much tied to this whole histamine response and the overreaction of it, which again is, autoimmune to some extent, at least from what I can tell. And keep working on your gut.
Well, I
Keep trying
just
to
ordered the sugar shift, so that should be a good step for my gut.
Oh, yes, definitely. And, I've been experimenting with more of Martha's products, and I'm amazed at what just a different shift in my gut, just a couple of different microbes can make. So, yes, I take the pills. I even make the yogurt from it. I've made both the milk yogurt and the coconut yogurt, but keep working on that, and know your body's designed to heal.
Amen.
And I believe that you can get help, because Dan can eat all kinds of pork now. We're about to start, I'm like, I don't know how I felt about that, but
I would love to eat pork. That was always my favorite.
well, and out here we can get some pigs that are actually regeneratively farmed. And so we can get some stuff that's a little bit, cleaner and all. But just, I didn't mean to take up all this time, but just take heart on
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
And
Thank
you
you.
bet.
So one of the other things I've been looking, it's alpha gals and it's an immune related reaction. And some of what, like, I can't say I have a really good answer for this right now, but I talked a little bit about the glycocalyx.
Yeah.
And I think it was in January, which is sort of that fuzzy coating of all of our cells, of our blood vessels, of everything. And the spike protein, Gayle,
Yes.
lodges in the glycocalyx and disrupts its flexibility. So that's one thing that, from, if you had COVID, if you had a vaccine, either way, that debris from the virus, it gets stuck in the glycocalyx and can damage it. And that is actually one of the things from Revasca, the company that makes this supplement, Revasca. They have this device called a glycocheck that you measures your vascular damage and health, and it can tell, like, people who have had more microvascular damage are typically people who had more severe cases of COVID or have had multiple vaccines.
I didn't have that.
Well, that's very interesting. And I am taking the Revasca, and I do think it is helping me. I can't quite, I'm getting better for some reason on kind of a lot of different fronts, and I can't tell what else helping me, but that's really great to know. That supplement to me kind of sounds like one that could probably maybe help all of us. I don't know.
Well, I think it's a very foundational piece. We're actually getting ready to do a small study in Parkinson's with 30 people, and they will be taking the Revasca, the Sugar Shift, and the Bean Minerals, and just kind of as a foundational support for the gut, the glycocalyx, and some minerals with a little bit of because you get a little bit of detoxification with the humic fulvic minerals, and they can help pull glyphosate out. So I think you were over on, or you were waiting to get in when I talked about the executive order last week that protected glyphosate. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah.
That was deeply saddening for me.
Right.
Because I don't know how you can say that a poison is national security, and what about our health? Isn't that the biggest national security risk of all?
Right. Yeah.
So I
think it's on all of our prayer lists for sure.
I have a piece I was working on this morning. I think I'm going to publish it tomorrow on my Substack if I can get it finished. I'm flying out in the morning to Denver. So if anybody's in Denver and they want to go to the Root Cause Protocol Conference, I think they still have available seats, and I'm speaking there on Saturday.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
that should be fun. Now I feel bad that there were people over on the other thing waiting to get in. They had the wrong link.
Maybe that's why I had so much trouble. I just like to never found it, but I finally did. I don't know, just luck, I guess. It was good.
Do we have any other questions or comments or?
So you're going to be talking about the glycocalyx on the,
Morley's?
yes.
I am talking about, that's not it's a kind of a broader, I've done a talk here before called Microbes, Minerals, Membranes, and Messages. What I'm doing is expanding that membranes discussion to talk about the glycocalyx, and also our Parkinson's paper is about to be published. And as a part of that Parkinson's paper, we are proposing our hypothesis that the mitochondria they're not an engulfed bacteria as they have been presented for, since Lynn Margulis. And our proposition is that mitochondria are successive invaginations of the glycocalyx, because what happens when an egg is fertilized and you see the spark of, like if you watch an egg be fertilized, there's a spark of light that comes out of it, and that is the glycocalyx forming around the egg, which protects the egg from any more sperm getting into it, and then it's to fold back on itself. And of course, it also explains the transmission of mitochondrial DNA being maternal, because it's that egg protecting mechanism of the folding. So we're arguing that it is actually a bicontinuous structure of glycocalyx, of cubic and laminar phases of the glycocalyx. And I know that sounds really technical, but
sounds interesting.
Like like if you go to a standard biology book, they'll tell you that mitochondria came from bacteria, and that like it was this engulfing of a cell, and I don't think that's true. We don't think it's true. And so that's part of our explanation in the paper. And like, I feel very comfortable making that argument because I'm making the argument with Dr. Ninham, and he's 90 years old. He's been studying these structures for his entire life. He has a book called The Language of Shape, where they actually one of his students photographed the mitochondria in the cubic phase. It's like they're constantly moving. That's how they move things around and create energy. And you know, if you look at stuff in textbooks, you'd think everything is just static on a plate, you know, that you're looking at through a microscope. And then like most of the things that are studied in the laboratory are, like a lot of the cells are dehydrated. So when they spin them down or do the things that they have to do to look at them on a plate, they've essentially removed the glycocalyx, which is, so they're not really studying it in its native state in the, you know, the full body. And, you know, another part of our argument is, you know, in most of drug development, like the scientific investigation, they're looking at like one or two things at a time, you know, and that's not how the body works. I mean, the body is a mini body problem where all of these different molecules are interacting simultaneously. So, you know, it's probably just sheer luck that some of these drugs actually work.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
You're just such a pioneer and such a lifelong learner. And my goodness, how many things do we have wrong? You know?
We have a lot. We have a lot. So I also have, I'm almost finished with, so I finished my book about poop. So I have a book called, it's a very little book called My Search for the Perfect Poop, which is just like stories of people with their GI problems, kind of my mother's history with GI problems, and the importance of understanding how important going to the bathroom is.
Mhm.
And, you know, people ignore it, but it's one of the most important health indicators. So that actually, I think, is going to be available on Amazon by the end of the week.
Awesome.
And we're also probably going to do some free giveaways for it. Okay, we haven't, somebody needs to get in. How do I let them in? There. Okay, there's Mary. So I have that coming out, and then I have been working like a mad woman since December, writing a book on this 25-year journey with John, and I'm almost finished with it. I think I will be finished with it, well, so that somebody can start editing it in the next week or two. So I'm kind of excited about that, but I still don't have a title for it. I sent Chris a couple of chapters, and I think I sent Gayle one chapter to read. So, it sort of follows my brain the way it winds around and, you know, circles back and connects things from years earlier. And, you know, one of the stories I actually tell in there, so there's a traditional Chinese medicine doctor named Janice Hadlock, and she has a website and a book called Stuck on Pause. And she works with people with Parkinson's. She works with other people, but the basis of her book, Stuck on Pause, is that there's some event in a person's life where they felt they were in imminent danger of death. And they get stuck in that, like, out of the body, sympathetic, and they can't get out. They can't get back over into that calm set. And so she, you know, she has a series of exercises and things that she does. But, you know, John and I had talked about from time to time, you know, some of that stuff. And we never really pinpointed it. Well, in writing this book, I actually went back, and one of the chapters that I wrote about when John and I were first married, it was before our daughter Mary Mac was born. She was born in July, and in June of that summer, he went on a raft trip down the Gunnison River with two of his fishing buddies and one of them's son. And they had just gotten this new raft. You know, they hadn't been properly trained with it, and they were taking their maiden voyage down the Gunnison Canyon. Well, I didn't really know that much about the Gunnison Canyon, and until I started writing this chapter, I I still didn't fully grasp this river or this canyon. But the first day into the trip, they flipped their raft and they pinned it against a rock. And 2 of them got pinned under the water. They finally got popped out. So the 4 of them, here they are. They can't get they cannot get the raft off the rock. And they have to float down the canyon in their life vests for 36 hours in 45-degree water with no food and just my husband's Camelback in what is some of the toughest Class 5 whitewater rapids in the country. And the month that they did it, so I went back and looked at the history, and I called one of John's friends that he did the raft trip with, and he said, well, we try not to think about that or talk about that. But it was actually the highest water level on record in the Gunnison Canyon. So, then I was like, of course, that was like 2 years before he got diagnosed with Parkinson's, or 3 years. So like, something got turned on, I think, there where, for 36 hours, I mean, it's really quite miraculous that he survived that river. The 4 of them. So anyway, that I tell that story in the book, but you just never know about these little kind of. So I talk about a lot of potential things that can have impacts on your health that people don't think about.
Wow.
So I don't know if anybody else has questions, or, you want to talk about glyphosate. Nobody wants to talk about glyphosate. But I don't have any fancy presentation or anything tonight. I just thought we'd talk for a bit, and, I'm happy to wrap up early. I have to pack a bag. I'm going to Denver, so I know some of you were overweighting on the other. Chris, you've got your hand up. You got to unmute. I think it's a.
Okay, so yeah, just commenting on having an unusual time trying to get in. And I finally did get into the call. I wonder if there are other people too, but I don't know. I don't know what was different, but finally.
Well, I heard several things. So I had Bridget sent out the call link, and I think she sent out the old link that was the sugar shift. So if the link should say Learning Lab. So I think she sent out an old link. Was part of the problem.
Well, that's okay. I just wanted
and
to.
The other part is Kevin is usually here, and Kevin lets people in while I'm talking.
Right.
And, I started talking, and there were people waiting, and I didn't see them. So that was partly my fault. Kevin's on.
No, it's fine. It's okay. I just wanted to explain, and there might be. I thought you probably already addressed the issue, because when I came in, you were saying a little something about it, but there might be other people. But you can catch them next time,
Yeah.
But I'll just say that the little of Martha's work that I read, such good stories that tell us personal stories that tell us about science it's Martha, you're really a good storyteller and you've got the science, and they end up together in your writing, right?
Well, I mean, we're all living the story we're given.
That's right. That's right.
And Kentuckians have a long history of being great storytellers too.
I agree. I told her that. It's that southern streak in her.
Yep.
Well,
my husband was like that.
My Substack, I think the last Substack I did, I wrote a piece about Wendell Berry. Do you know who Wendell?
Yes, it was so good.
I mean, I just love his writing and he was so ahead of his time, because he was talking about how the things that we were doing to industrialize agriculture was going to hollow out our communities. So he saw that in the 1970s, before Walmart and Home Depot, like all of that part. He saw that the farming infrastructure was holding the community together, and as you started to pull those pieces out, all the local business, everything, that local glue that holds everything together starts to disintegrate. And I've talked about this before on other things where I think people don't. Oh, somebody's trying to get in. Let's see. Oh, where you just you lose that community. And like, I think about it too in the context of like a good microbiome. I mean, a good microbiome and the way we make our probiotics is we're building a community that works together. And coming back to my small town, it doesn't feel like the community it did when I was growing up.
Yep.
I mean, it's interesting because it's not a big town, but there's a tiny little community in the downtown area of people who seem very connected and close to each other. But the bigger set of it, because the roads have been built to go around it, and I mean, anyway, I love how Wendell Berry saw all that and was speaking about it, but nobody listened.
And Will Harris in Georgia, he did the opposite. He brought the community back because of his change in his farming techniques, and he got his whole family involved. And the dying area of Georgia is now like robust because he brought the community back. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing. He really
What's
is.
his name again? Excuse me.
Will Harris.
Okay.
Well, is he white? Is it white? What's the name of his farm?
Oh,
White,
yeah, it has the name. White Oak Pastures, is it? I
Yeah,
don't know.
White-
If that's,
yeah,
yeah,
I think it might be White Oak Pastures.
I think that's his. Yeah. And I saw the same thing that you're talking about. Like, did you ever read Janice Holt Giles's books? A Kentucky author?
Yeah, I do know the name. I'm trying to think of what I've read of hers.
She had a lot of books, and I read them all. They just fascinated me. And her home isn't too far from where I'm at now. And that's what happened when they put that dam in, and everybody had to leave so that the Green River Lake could fill up, and it just destroyed the community. Yep.
Yeah. Unintended. Well, I don't know if they're unintended consequences, but anyway, if for anybody who's not familiar with Wendell Berry, he's a prolific writer, but just a lot of different subjects about economics, farming, agriculture, faith, how it's all interwoven together. And he's just a lovely person. I think he's maybe 85 now, or he might be older than that. I'm not sure. But he's still writing, I think.
Awesome. So if you need a new topic, how about talking about this big, all of a sudden push for Akkermansia? Because this company called Pendulum, and it's got a Dr. Lee, L.I., that promotes the products, and he's very convincing. It's just like, oh, we need this, but he doesn't bring up what you and Dr. Davis had both brought up about how it's not really a good thing to just go replacing all the Akkermansia, right? They might eat up your mucin layers, and so I was just wondering what your
well,
on
so
that
let me see if I can find what I wrote on. So there was an article last week on, now I have to go over here and look.
I heard you mention it on a podcast that somebody was interviewing you, but I thought, oh my gosh. And just after I heard you on a podcast, all of a sudden his ads exploded, just like yours exploded on my feed, and all of a sudden it was very prevalent. And I was wondering, how long do you think it'll take for some bad consequences on a,
Well,
move like that?
So it is elevated in Parkinson's. It is elevated in multiple sclerosis. It is, there's some things in terms of there's something called secretor status. So it's like whether or not you're secreting mucins in your gut. And there are people who are secretors and non-secretors, and people who are Northern Europeans have a tendency to be non-secretors. And if you are not secreting enough mucin, it can degrade your mucin lining. So I have a lot of concern about Akkermansia as a live, let's see, I'm trying to find my list of my posts.
That's what they're claiming, is that we are the first and the only ones that have actually managed to conquer the technology of being able to supply live Akkermansia. So that's their line,
I'm looking for my post if I can find it. But I have pulled, oh, here it is. Okay. So a scientist that I've followed from Japan for a long time, now if I can get, posted let's see if I can share my screen again. I'm always careful about trying not to be like too over the top about it, because
right, I understand they're competitors and they have a right to do what they're doing. And
I don't want to, be viewed as somebody who's bashing the competition.
Right. Right. I respect you for that. I just thought.
Well, one of the leading scientists who studied this strain of bacteria, his name is Patrice Kani, Kani, and he's in Belgium, I believe now. And he has a company that is making an Akkermansia product, but it is not live. And I've talked about this also on other podcasts and sometimes on the Learning Lab, that bacteria do not have to be live to have action in the body. So the cell wall components of bacteria are very immunogenic, and they have lots of actions. But this was an article that, Frank Bernier is a microbiome researcher and scientist in Japan, and he had done a lot of work with bifidobacteria in the treatment of Alzheimer's. And I forget who he's working for now, but he does a lot of probiotics research. But, he posted this last week. He said, this is why I never trusted Akkermansia. And so a lot of people with Parkinson's have constipation, and they have high Akkermansia. And he basically shows this connection to increased constipation from Akkermansia. And it's not the Akkermansia by itself. It's actually Akkermansia with Bacteroides. And I also happen to know from looking at so many Parkinson samples that they have a lot of Bacteroides.
Real.
Yeah. So, I always tell, when people with Parkinson's ask me if they should take Akkermansia probiotic, I say, no, do not take it. So, but basically they're suggesting here that the constipation with the elevated Akkermansia is due to the loss of mucus lubrication as part of it. Like in addition to the neural dysfunction, and that makes sense to me having seen the Akkermansia numbers in people with Parkinson's. So, I don't know if anybody's on LinkedIn, but you can follow me on LinkedIn if you want to follow me on LinkedIn. But so I had just posted this with my comments about it being a problem. And I think I have a couple of other postings somewhere in my LinkedIn thread in the past about Akkermansia. But it's interesting. LinkedIn does not keep your posts in perpetuity. So I thought they saved them, and I went back and looked for some posts that I had made, and I think they don't save them beyond a year or two. Jen, it looks like you've got your hand up.
I had it up earlier. I had a whole bunch of Alpha-Gal links if anyone was interested. I got them from Pam Holloway. So she has a whole bunch of YouTube links, but I thought it was interesting that Dr. Michelle Perro from a few weeks ago has a Substack talking about that.
Okay,
So,
that's the only thing I see posted in here. I don't see Pam's stuff.
no, I just didn't want to flood the
Okay.
with that, but if anyone's interested, I can forward what she forwarded me a while back. But sounds like you've looked at it in depth, and you probably have a lot of the same links. But I love that Dr. Perro also writes about this. And
So she was really interesting.
yeah.
The morning after our last call, when she talked to us, so we had a caller on whose son had type 1 diabetes, and so was asking Michelle some questions about that. And I had mentioned Dr. Dow and the BCG vaccine, and well, the next morning, Dr. Perro, one of Dr. Perro's patients that has type 1 diabetes, they got a culture back from a test they had sent out, and they were able to culture what's called cell wall deficient mycobacteria, which is what I had brought up as a possible cause. And so I connected her with Dr. Dow, who I'm collaborating with to bring this new probiotic to market called Decia.
Yeah.
In hopefully May or June. But anyway, so I've connected her, and they're going to do some research with this little boy with one of our collaborators at the University of Georgia. And as soon as we have the Decia, the little boy's going to try the Decia to see if that can help reset the immune system.
Wow.
So I'm wondering if it would work for something like Decia. If it would work for something like, resetting the immune system for type 1 diabetes. I don't know if it would reset the immune system for anything else.
Hives. Yeah.
But, I don't think it would hurt to try.
Yeah.
Gesel, your hand's up. I think did I pronounce that right?
Not quite. It's Gesel.
Gesel. Okay.
Yeah, but it's fine. Well, I have a question. I'm kind of new in the group, and so I have been watching your videos, and you mentioned in several of them the similitude between autism and Parkinson. So we do have autism in the family, and actually I am giving pendulum to this person, trying to make him lose weight. So I was wondering now if he should keep taking the pendulum, and also if you have a particular protocol for autism that will help me out.
Well, Pendulum has a number of products. So they have an Akkermansia by itself, or they have a glucose control product. So do you know which product it is?
It's not the Akkermansia. I do have it.
Or is it metabolic daily?
It's a metabolic. The metabolic. Let me check it out in the refrigerator. I had keep it in the refrigerator. It's a two. One that is a boost, and the other one, the metabolic daily.
That one
Yeah, I'm familiar with the polyphenol boost product. It's not anything you couldn't do on your own to bloom Akkermansia, and Akkermansia is pretty easy to just proliferate with good polyphenols, good olive oil. Even just getting that product might be helpful. But as I've read through a lot of the Tiny Health stool testing, and they might say you have 0% Akkermansia. I don't recommend anyone taking Akkermansia based on that. And what I've seen is that people can actually bloom it, because those tests, depending on the different sensitivity, but like Tiny Health measures 0.005%, which means there could be 0.003% Akkermansia. And that's enough. You can feed it.
But so with how much olive oil do you suggest?
Just cook with it. Do you like olive oil? I wouldn't even think twice. Just add it to your foods and cook with it and put it in your salads. I think it's pretty easy to get enough if you enjoy it. But I think the sourcing is important, making sure it's a good, solid source, because
a lot of the olive oils have been they're cut with other seed oils that are cheaper, so you have to make sure that it is and I'll say I feel like I got scammed by an expensive one that I bought at Fresh Market that was a Greek olive oil, and when I put it in the pan, something wasn't right. Something definitely wasn't right, and it turned like sort of like a black goo, and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, well, I got scammed from that one. But back to the autism gut and autism and Parkinson's, the connections. Disruption of the sulfur pathway, which is also related to that glycocalyx I was talking earlier. Like you said, you have autism in your family. Like, what age is it? A child or a teenager or?
Well, right now it's already an adult, and
okay.
It's not like the worst case. It's pretty much functional and everything, and has degree. He has a master's degree and everything, but it's more like the social interaction that I would like to. I'm just thinking is because I know we have gut issues. So that's why I'm focusing in the gut to see if I can help out, with the anxiety, the social anxiety, and that type of thing.
I actually, if anxiety is part of the problem, I might try we have a product called Perfect Peace.
That's because right now we're taking the antibiotic antidote, the sugar shift, the ideal immunity. So I was thinking on introducing also, but since we have to take it apart, it's like every 2 hours we take one of the pills.
Yeah, well, what I have learned myself, so I do typically tell people to take them an hour or two apart because they're designed as systems. And I think probably that holds the truest for sugar shift and simple slumber need to definitely be taken at least 2 hours apart. Okay. I personally have started taking, I take Perfect Peace and Simple Slumber together in the evening. like a couple hours before I go to bed.
Okay.
And I take them at the same time. But what you might want to do is rotate and not take them all at once. So
No, we started with the antibiotic one, the antibiotic one, but I got desperate. I was like, oh no, let's take it, like in the same day, because I think you mentioned that somebody did that some people do that and it works. So I I'm just getting, I guess I'm anxious too.
yeah, you want to help. Well, I do think being gentle and slow about things.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Because like one of the things that I learned over my 25 years of trying to help John is, we're trying to help with something, and we swing things in one direction or another by taking a supplement or whatever that. And when we had Dr. Michelle Perro on here, she talked about homeopathy, and homeopathy is using these tiny doses of something as a signal. It's like the body is getting a signal, a piece of information, and it doesn't have to have these huge, large doses. That's actually why I like the bacteria, because the bacteria are making micro doses of tiny little molecules that are signaling in the body instead of, and I'm looking around the room and going, this is the pot calling the kettle black, because I have all these different supplements, different minerals and, magnesium and amino acids and different things that I've tried over different times for John or for myself. But what I find is sometimes we can overdo it. And I think one of the things with Parkinson's and with autism is there's very little room for stress. So like we're all trying to kind of be in a Goldilocks zone. And those of us that are healthiest have the widest Goldilocks zone. We have a lot of buffering capacity. So we can absorb too much of this or too much of that and bounce back. But in something like Parkinson's or autism, there's much less buffering capacity. And that can be molecular, in our biology, that can be with sound and frequency. There's just hypersensitivity to inputs. And so that's why I say, like, when you are trying to implement something new, just go slow and listen to what the body is saying. And that would be my recommendation. But the other thing, if he would be interested in trying that Revasca product, I do.
What product?
Revasca. I can probably pull up a picture of it here.
Oh, Revasca.
Yeah. Am I sharing my screen? No, I'm not. Here.
Oh, shoot.
So they have capsules or powder. I take the powder. I just blend it up in a drink because I like, but that's those polyphenols also.
Wait. Oh, yeah, I can see.
Can you see it?
Revasca. Oh, okay. Revasca. Do you have a particular brand?
I mean, that is the brand is Revasca.
Oh, okay. And where do you buy it? Can you buy it in like VitaCost is the one that I use the most.
They probably have it on VitaCost. Let's see.
Where do you buy it?
I just buy it direct from their website, but let's see.
No. Okay. I rather, these days, I rather buy directly from the manufacturer,
Okay, their website is glycocalyx.com, I think. Let's see.
Yeah. I have it here. Oh, okay. Unlock the best deal. Oops. Overview. Oh, this is talking about the. Oh, okay. So, would you tell me a little bit about this product?
So it comes from, well, actually, I should go back to the, let me go back over there and pull it up.
Revasca.
I got to go back over here where I have, here it is. Let me pull it up. Okay. So it's made, so fucoidan, which comes from a seaweed. Fucoidan is the seaweed polyphenol. And it's also, I'll say, like very water absorbent.
Uh-huh.
Then this is an ingredient called vinitrix, and that is actually a polyphenol from grapes. So it's a red polyphenol. And then this Vascaman is the inner leaf of aloe vera. So again, it's going to hold a lot of water structure. And then hyaluronic acid, which, now this, I wonder about this with, I'm going to look this up in a minute related to alpha-gal, because hyaluronic acid is a fiber that is from animal tissue.
Mm.
So I wonder if you have alpha-gal, then you're not going to be able to get enough hyaluronic acid. But I wonder if taking a supplement like this, if you could tolerate taking a supplement like this. And then catalase and superoxide dismutase are both enzymes that are, like free radical scavengers, and L-citrulline is involved in nitric oxide production. So let me see if they have a picture on here on their website. Somewhere in here they have the research. I'm going to get a picture. I just want to get a picture of it. Well, I know another way to get a picture of it.
Dr. Davis said that the hyaluronic acid that he uses in his Crispatus product, I believe it's in, is marine sourced.
Okay. Now I have to go over here. I'm going to show you what this structure looks like, maybe. If I can get down to this paper. Here we go. Which I have looked at 1,000 times. Okay, here's the images. Now, let's see. Let me move this out of the way. So, is it going to let me enlarge it? Yeah. Okay, so can you see that?
Yes, I can.
So this is inside a blood vessel, but this same fuzzy coating is on every one of our cells.
Mm.
It's
Oh.
between our cells. And so it looks like this little hair structure, but those little hairs are made of what are called sulfated polymers, which is basically like seaweed. So that Revasca product, which has seaweed in it, these hair-like structures hold a lot of water. So hyaluronic acid holds a lot of water, and the base of it here, this endothelial cell, the layer just beneath the hairs, that's where most of the hyaluronic acid is. And then these little hair-like structures are chondroitin sulfate, heparin sulfate, and keratin sulfate. And this is like a filter that's letting oxygen and nitrogen in and bringing carbon dioxide out and sort of filtering nutrients. And it's doing like the lion's share of the work that previously was attributed to the cell membrane. But the cell membrane really isn't big enough to handle all of that. And most of that's actually going on in these structures. And they look more like, let me see if I can go up here. So like you see a structure like this where, you know, you have these different shapes and designs. That like the liquid, you know, that highly hydrated structure of that glycocalyx is changing shape like this, and you see these little tubes and squares. That's how things get moved around as that structure kind of moves. And you know, I won't say like an accordion, because it's not an accordion, it's this cubic phase. But I'm probably like going too far down the rabbit hole. But and this is a like more of a cartoon schematic. You can see these little, that's the little hair-like structures. And this is your like oxygen and nitrogen going in and out, and your sodium and calcium. So things are moving through these little water channels that get created in here. So I don't know. Was that helpful or was that confusing?
Yes, it's it's amazing. It's amazing. So just to wrap it up, because I'm taking too long. So maybe it's a good idea to suspend the pendulum and then introduce the your product for the anxiety. What's the name?
Yeah,
I
I would try the perfect piece. If that is his, if social anxiety is his major issue, I would just probably halt all those other products for a little bit.
Okay.
Except for, if you said you were trying to address weight, sometimes Sugar Shift will help with that. So if you have the Sugar Shift, I would take, Sugar Shift in the morning, and then take the perfect piece like, midday and later in the afternoon or the evening, and see if that helps.
Okay. And the Revasca thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's see. Do I have any other hands up? No other hands up. Anybody else got questions? I like that Chris is wearing her blue light blockers.
I'm doing it. Have you got yours on?
Well, you can see they're, the purple. So that is blue light blocking, but it's not blocking. I have these flippers that I can put on at night, but I don't put them on these calls. But, because they're not perfectly fitted to my glasses. I think I'm going to order some. True Dark has the ones you can put over your readers, and I think I'm going to get.
Yeah, mine are just clip-ons.
Well,
and
because I have these silhouettes, they're not heavy enough to hold a clip-on. So this is a clip-on.
Oh,
but if I put it on, it's like. Anyway, they
don't
work with my cute little silhouettes.
I've learned that the amount of time I spent in front of this computer in the evening, or adding up the hours during the day, is really affects not going to sleep, but waking up, being wakeful lots earlier. Because I think it's stimulating to your brain, the light,
Oh, so speaking of that, so this week we were looking at something related. Oh, Chris, you read the chapter that I wrote on the eyes and the vision?
Yes.
And Barry remembered this paper that he wrote back in 1975 on the physics of birefringence. which is
Oh,
like
well.
the refraction, basically the refraction of light and like, changing shapes. And they had basically shown that blue light, I guess it was already well known, blue light bleaches rhodopsin, which is in the eyes. And that's a normal process. But it's restored in darkness. Well, we don't get it in darkness anymore. I mean, who gets this anymore? Everybody's got a light on somewhere. So, and, if you're constantly in blue light, then you're constantly bleaching that rhodopsin, and then you're not getting the dark to restore it.
Right.
So
Thanks for the explanation for everybody, because I couldn't quite put together what I was the background on that, but I've lived it. I think it's really real. I mean, I have been aware, like if you were to be on your phone or, scrolling or whatever later at night, that's not a good idea. I can feel that in my brain, but I wasn't aware that this more passive kind of exposure was a problem, but it is for me. So,
yeah. Well, and then I started having some issues, and I've been trying to sort of track back to what changed to cause some of my I'm going to say like hypoglycemia and like low blood sugar and stuff. And then I did some blood work in my let's just say there were some abnormal looking things in there. And I think I'm tracing it back to when I turned in my iPhone and got a new iPhone 16 in September. And so I did some investigation over the weekend and discovered that the new iPhone 16s and the phones beyond that, so because now they're into 17, I think, has a new antenna structure. And so the old iPhone, the antenna was sort of situated, I think, in the upper part of the phone. The new iPhone structure, the antenna is in the entire encasement. The whole metal case is antenna. And it also has a number of things that are sort of always on that weren't always on before. And I have this, well, I don't know where it is. I have a little, where you can measure, I think this is it. EMF.
okay. Martha, what's that called? Your device?
I ordered it on Amazon. It is made by Eric Hill, ERICKHIL.
Okay.
And it measures a couple different things. I guess I can turn it on and maybe it'll RF, magnetic. It measures magnetic fields, electrical, and radio frequency.
Okay.
And what I found was that the phone was pulsing. And I think actually pulsing is worse signal for our cells. So for somebody who didn't have any topics tonight, I have some topics. So the same group that I mentioned that had the speaker from the Sleeper Agent book, last night, Richard says pulsing is bad. Yes, pulsing is bad. So anyway, let me finish my phone story. So I went to the AT&T store over the weekend and told them I wanted to turn my iPhone 16 back in and get a lower version phone. And so they had to order me one, but I do have a lower version phone coming. And so I'm going to do my little N of 1 test and, see if things start improving by getting rid of that phone, because I do a lot of my work on my telephone. I'm either at my computer or on my phone doing phone calls with people. I mean, my business is run mobily. So that's pretty distressing if it's going to be causing those kind of health problems. So last night on the IPAC EDU, let me see if I can find the link to their, let's see. No, they're getting blocked. Let's see. I'll find them on Substack. Well, I might have to. Okay, here we go. Substack. They had a scientist who was talking about electromagnetic frequencies and electromagnetic radiation, and how its effects on biology.
Right.
Here we go. Let's see. Go share again. So if you're familiar with Substack, IPAC EDUs Learn Forever. Oh, what do they have on there? Is that the right one? Home. I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Activity. Nope. This might not be the right. IPAC.edu is the right group, but let's see if I can find a different one. Here it is. James Lyons Wheeler is the guy who leads it, and they had. Well, they'll send me the replay. I'll send the replay out because they have they'll have a replay on Vimeo, and he talked about the different technologies. And what was so incredible, he has a company that they are actually working on using frequency technology, and they have shown that they can essentially make the frequency. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with the work of Jacques Benveniste and Luc Montagnier on the memory of water. So there was a French scientist who was hounded by the mainstream people and kind of out of the field, Jacques Benveniste, and he showed that basically water can hold the memory of a molecule, or whatever it comes in contact with. And he did a lot of work around this, and how it's basically a digital information field. And Luc Montagnier, who won the Nobel Prize for HIV during COVID, was doing, or right before COVID, was also doing a lot of work duplicating Benveniste's work. And the gentleman on the IPAC EDU call last night, he has a company, and he was talking about they have basically the frequencies of these cancer drugs that they can target, and you don't have the side effects. And so, there were some really fascinating questions at the end of his talk about different ways you could use the technology, and all of the promise of how it could be used to fix different things. And I have this rather strange book. I don't know if I should mention it or not, but I always mention my strange things. Like years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine about something called the solfeggio frequencies. And Gayle knows what these are, because there's a guy who plays the harp who has made these healing frequencies with the solfeggio frequencies. Well, so I was telling my friend Helen about these, and Helen liked to go to the library. So she went to the library, and she came back and she goes, "Oh, I found this book that has the solfeggio frequencies in it." She goes, "You're going to like this book." Anyway, it's called Healing Codes of the Biological Apocalypse. Has anybody ever heard of that? Yeah, it's over there in my bookshelf. I'm not going to pull it out, but
Is
it
it like whole tones?
is it what?
Whole tones. Remember that guy, Michael?
Oh yeah, I do have some of the whole tone stuff, but let's see. What
That's what he did.
I think he is using the solfeggio frequencies, but this book, I know it was here because I was
Can
cleaning
you
up.
say that title again, Martha?
Is what?
Can you name that title again?
Yeah, I'm just going to pull it out from the bookshelf. I'm going to let you guys know how totally crazy I am. Actually, I'm not crazy, but I've read so many different books in so many different ways. So this is the book.
Healing Codes.
I have heard of Kathleen Richard. You'll have to tell us about her. So anyway, this actually goes into the long, dark history of biological warfare and a lot of technologies and things, and how technology has been used as, these technologies have been used as weapons. But it has these healing codes, and a lot of them, it's musical, or it's frequency from those solfeggio frequencies. And so maybe Gayle could tell us about the guy with the harp, but it also has all the herbal remedies that are mentioned in the Bible, and it has those in a table and how they connect to the frequencies. So it's kind of interesting stuff, but it's not for the faint of heart. I wouldn't recommend it if you don't want to get the heebie-jeebies a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Martha,
I try not to give people the heebie-jeebies too much. Like not everybody can handle as much of the dark side of the information out there. You got to weigh it out with, we're all going to be okay. But
Martha, that's what, and it's really not, in my opinion, not dark at all, but I use those, I believe it's the 528 hertz harp music that, this man discovered that when he would go into hospitals with his harp and play, people would be healed. It was crazy, and people started begging him to record his work. And he finally did. I kind of stumbled upon it, and I began playing it. For those that don't know me, I'm a biologic dental hygienist. I'm retired from clinic currently, but I would play that music, and people would just literally melt in the chair. And the dental chair is a very stressful place. I just really didn't care for what the rest of the office was listening for. And I decided that I would play something different. And I just kind of stumbled upon that. But there's all kinds of things that are carried on frequency. And I think that we've lost sight of, that God spoke man into being, and those kinds of powerful things that really happened. And I started having a lot of problems with, and I'm sorry that I'm in the dark. I'm just outside because I wanted to actually see the sunset a little bit, and not miss that, because that's real important to my circadian rhythms. But I started in the morning getting up and grounding because of the fact that I felt like I was getting so much EMF, and it became really powerful to me just to sit and look at the sun, the early morning sun, for a few minutes. And I would put both my hands and my feet on the ground. And, I don't know if you know this about grounding, but you do not have to be on grass or dirt. Concrete is a very good, grounder, even better than the dirt. And my husband confirmed that. He's like electrical contractor, and he's like, yes, it's a very good way to ground. And you know, you can just touch a tree, you don't, or something that's connected to the ground. And I just sat outside for about 10 or 15 minutes and look at the sun. What I do is I listen to Psalm 91 and 92 because it's just really healing to my soul. And I have a female speaker on this particular, on the Bible app, and I just let her go for the 2 chapters. And it's amazing. And I really believe that we need to begin to put positive things back into the airwaves because we have so much negative coming over in frequency, and that we really have power over this if we'll just do it. And I will not miss that in the morning, if all possible. And if I can't get outside, then I'll just turn that on even if I'm driving. But I think there's just simple things that we can do like that make a huge difference. But I've become so much more calm, and I feel like that I don't have, I don't know, near the anxiety. I don't know. Sometimes we just complicate so many things, and I was pretty good about going in the evening and sitting on the concrete again. But I haven't been able to do that quite as much. But yes, anytime that we can just even play music in our home, that is healing. I think that sending those frequencies out help counteract. You think about all the stuff that's going across the internet, and what is that doing? I mean, it's doing a lot more things to us than I think we really realize.
Yeah. Which I really try to avoid it as much as possible now. But of course, I spend an hour or 2 a week with somebody trying to make videos of me talking, but I'm like, well, I guess if I'm putting out something more positive, then maybe that's okay. But I do sort of feel like I have this conflict in myself about contributing to the noise, because there's so much information coming at people. But yeah, there's a table in here of the biblical herbs and their known uses. So it's like, 6 pages, 7 pages long, which is pretty interesting.
Excuse me, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
I apologize to interrupt, and I'm not as familiar with this screen as I am with Zoom, and I can't get my camera on. It's not on, is it?
I don't think so, but that's okay.
So I'm blind, and this has been a fascinating conversation. I join your calls whenever I can, and there's several things I'd love to chime in about. One is if you've ever heard of the Quest machine that does frequency testing on your body.
Yes.
Okay. And then the other thing is WATTA. It's WATTAHH. Have you heard of that?
I have not heard of that. Let's see.
It was
WATTAH8.
HH, yes. It was invented by, it was discovered, I should say. Nobody really invents water, but it was discovered by Rob Gorley, and it is structured water with like extra electrons and protons. And part of his discovery process was watching salmon spawn at the bottom of a waterfall. When they come up the river, they don't have the strength to swim vertically up the waterfall, but when they pool at the bottom of the waterfall, that energizes their body, and then they can swim vertically straight up and continue up the stream and or the river and spawn. And another part of his process was to watch the way plants absorbed
water when there was lightning versus when there was just rain. So if you look up Rob Gorley, I think it's just Gorley on YouTube, he has a fascinating story. And I've been using this water to help my vision. I have retinitis pigmentosa. I've been very blind for many years. And have any of you heard of Dr. Walter Campbell?
No.
Name
So,
sounds familiar, but yeah. Who is he?
well, he is, he has his PhD in Chinese and Oriental medicine. And I discovered him on a podcast and went to treat with him for 4 weeks last spring. And I got a lot of vision back. And retinitis pigmentosa is not treatable. Or so we're told, we're told. That's the general consensus in the traditional medical fields. And so anyway, I could go on and on about any one of these topics. I'm not trying to take over the call, but I just have been so fascinated. I wanted to share these things. And this Dr. Walter Campbell may be someone that you would enjoy connecting with, Martha, because he is doing things that nobody else is doing. And I live in Connecticut. I am still following his protocols and still gaining little bits of vision all the time after, being very blind. So,
Well, I've pulled his website up here and I'm sharing it. So I will try to reach out to him and maybe I could have him on one of these calls. I think that would be really interesting. And it would be interesting to talk to him about actually the chapter I wrote in my book about vision and Parkinson's and light and what is happening in the eye.
Yes.
Basically, it's a quantum physics thing.
yes.
So I think that, and it's really interesting. So he's working with eyes. Dr. Dow, that I'm bringing the Deetsia probiotic to market with, he's also a retired eye surgeon. And there's somebody else that I was talking to recently who's not working in the field of vision anymore, but was a vision person. So that tells me that I think maybe I need to have this fellow on here and dig a little bit deeper.
Well, what the research that he's doing is just phenomenal. And the way he understands the eye, you can see some of his videos on his YouTube channel describing, how he views the eye versus how traditional ophthalmology views the eye. And so I started losing my vision when I was 11, and I've been very blind for about 25 years. I live an extremely active life. I'm too stubborn to let it stop me, but the vision that I've gained and the enrichment to my life personally has been phenomenal. And so my joke is that, I'm going to go out and buy a new Porsche when I get all of my vision back. And I'm not there yet, but I'm, am just functioning at an enriched level from where I was. And he's a fascinating man. His research is fascinating. I think that you would enjoy connecting.
Well, I'll reach out to him. He sounds like a really interesting person to have on and talk about. Gesel, is your hand up again, or do you still have your hand up from before?
No, I'm sorry. I can't get rid of it.
Oh, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
but-
you.
Wait. What was the name again of the person with the eye thing? What was the doctor's name again?
Walter
Dr.
Campbell.
Mhm. Yeah.
Walter Campbell. A better price.
So I will also, I'm going to
Does Walter
a-
Campbell have a book?
No, I don't believe he's written a book.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm just going to put a link to his website here in the chat, and then I think I found his YouTube channel. I can get back to over here. Okay.
He helps other conditions also. He's helped people with severe dementia and brought them back to life, basically. And he's helped quite a few different conditions, but vision is probably his number one passion.
And where is he located?
He's in Lauderhill, Florida, and just north of Miami. I stayed down there for 4 weeks. I committed to 3 weeks, and it was going so well that I stayed another week, treating in his office every day, Monday through Friday, for 4 weeks.
Oh, wow. I see here he's got autoimmune conditions, diabetes, celiac, chronic fatigue, Crohn's, Hashimoto's, IBD, ulcerative colitis. Very interesting. "30 systems test." Okay. Well, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. We'll have to go down another night.
Yeah.
But the
Thank-
Wata is not his, but he uses it as part of his vision treatment, and it's something anybody can send for on Amazon. And I drink it every day. When you take vitamins with this Wata, you absorb them perhaps 4 to 8 times as much. And you really feel a difference in energy when you drink this Wata. And so I drink it every day. I take my vitamins with it. And I drink about 1 liter of it a day. And it's fascinating. If you look at Rob Gorley's stuff, you'll be riveted at how he figured this out. And then when you experience the water, it's amazing.
I wonder if it's so. This was, gosh, probably a decade or longer ago. Somebody connected me with a woman who was making something called spark water, and I got it for my son when he was a teenager, and it had a pretty significant impact on him. But it, like, when you opened the container of the water and poured it into a glass, it had to be put it in a glass. You put it in glass. If you touched the water, it had a spark.
Oh, that's fascinating. I've never heard of that.
And they called it spark water. So when you said the lightning thing, I was like, like, and I have no idea, like, I don't remember who the people we got it from. I wish because I was thinking, I bet that was really something special. And I've never seen it anywhere again. And I wonder if it was just, some fluky thing in Colorado. But
Well, I've been structuring water with an analemma wand for several years, and I really like that. But this water is kind of next level. It's pretty incredible. Are you familiar with analemma?
I am from a while ago, but that's why I was just over here, like, looking it up on my phone, because I'm like, I think it's been and I had I think I had one of these once. I don't know what happened to it. Like, there's not a whole lot of devices that I haven't had over the 25 years of, trying to save John. We tried a lot of things, and, some of them really did help a lot, but I remember having that, and I don't know what happened to it. So maybe I can get another one.
I like it.
Yeah, that's a good reminder.
I heard a lady say that the structured water, like if you get water out of the branch What's what we call streams here in Kentucky. If you get water out of the branch, which is where I get my water, that it will be structured water. Most people don't have access to that in a clean source, so they got to do it differently. But she said that it will keep the structure for 72 hours. I wonder if
Yes,
that's really
I believe that would be very likely. I'm not a water expert, but I've kind of studied structure, and when water tumbles over rocks and down a natural stream, it becomes structured. And when it goes through our pipes and into our homes, it is chaos. The molecules are chaos. And so then we can restructure it by having certain devices, and the analemma is the one that I've been using. I keep it in my water purifier, and it's always in there. And the interesting thing that I noticed, this is several years ago, I had a little elderly pug, and I would give the water to my dogs, and this little pug got just a little, more spark back giving him this water. And you can't placebo a dog, you can't placebo a pug. So, I kind of believed in the value of it because of that.
wow.
Yeah, I have a custom water filtration system here that we had built, for John, basically, from this. The company's name is Personova, I think it is. The guys, I know him as Vache. But he builds these custom systems for farmers that do structured water for the farm, and because it changes how the plants grow, the vitality of everything on the farm. He does a lot of those, but he does in-home systems, and it has a copper piping structure with a magnet that structures the water as it. So I think I have structured water coming out of my faucets, but I'm not positive. So.
Well, that's fascinating. It sounds like that's, what they're doing. And I'm sure there's more than one way to structure water.
Well, there is actually. In fact, see, I'm just going down all my little book rabbit holes here. So there was I think he was Austrian, Victor Schauberger, who, let's see, these are all my water books here, which I am gonna, you're gonna go, oh, this lady's. Okay. Now I'm dropping books. I'm about to drop one. There it goes. So this book is kind of the history of Victor Schauberger. So I think that's the one. Dancing with Water. I think it talks about Victor Schauberger in here. So this is all, actually, no, this one isn't the Victor Schauberger book, but this has how to structure your water, all these different ways you can do it. But the Victor Schauberger book actually has, okay, so is the analemma, is that kind of like a hydrogen stick?
Well, it's a little wand. It's a little crystal wand.
Yeah.
And I have a countertop reverse osmosis purifier. That's what I use. And then I just put the little wand inside the pitcher. And I think you're supposed to put it in the sunlight every once in a while just to kind of recharge it. I haven't done that for quite a long while. But the they the crystal, the wand has structured water inside of it that they figured out how to make permanent, and then by putting that in your water, it structures your water. And at one time I bought a water bottle that was from Japan, or at least the technology was from Japan, that structured water when you put it in your bottle. And I got so sick of that. It was just a bother all the time. And I love this wand because it can just be in my water supply all the time.
Well, I'll have to, I pulled that up on my phone. Anyway, so this was another one. So I had another doctor who recommended a couple of books to me. One is this, The Water Puzzle and the Hexagonal Key. And that's by a couple of, I think they're Korean, Dr. Mushik John. And that's a really interesting book. And he's done a lot of research on water. And then this one is Water, the Key to New Energy, Cavitating Electrolyzers and Zero Point Energy, which reminds me of something else I need to go back and look at. See, you guys are really sending me down that's where my Victor Schauberger book is. I thought it was the Dances with Water book, but
Well, I had purchased a little hydrogen water bottle, and it's supposed to put hydrogen in the water. And then I purchased those tablets that you drop in water and it puts hydrogen in your water. And that's what I was doing and just kind of, playing around with when I discovered Dr. Walter Campbell and learned about the Wata, because he uses the Wata strategically in his treatment of the eyes. And so now I'm all about that and not, doing the hydrogen water seems kind of elemental compared to this, which seems like so much more advanced, this Wata.
I'll have to look at that because
You get energy just from trying it. If you drink it in the evening, you might not sleep very well.
interesting. Oh, well, okay. I'm on the Wata page, and the first thing on there, or well, I don't know. No, it's on a different. It's something called Aquanu, but they're talking about Wata, and they have
That's
this.
them. That's them.
Okay.
That's Rob Gorley's company. Mhm.
Well, that's this book. Is one of the main things on there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so it's probably in this book somewhere.
Oh.
But it's been a long time since I've read that book. But I have read it. I can tell that I've read it because it has my handwriting all through it, which is what happens. Oh, and I write notes about, oh, well, this is where the problem with Parkinson's is. Anyway, okay. Well, I am going to have to wrap it up because I do have to go pack my bag and clean up my kitchen because I have to leave my house at 6 o'clock in the morning for the airport.
Oh, right.
So thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. And it turned out to be an interesting discussion, even though we didn't start out with a lot of topics. We finished with a lot of really interesting topics. So I hope to see you back here in 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks? No, the second week in March. So a week from now would be the book club. So anyway, thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Martha. God bless you all.